Well, for more on President Obama and the African American community, I'm joined now by Occupy LA activist Kwasi Nkrumah. Kwasi, welcome. So, do you think President Obama has done enough to help the African American community?
Personally, I'm not particularly satisfied with what has been produced by President Obama's administration. Most of the statistics on the reality of day-to-day life in the African American community tell us that conditions have been growing steadily worse. This is not simply a phenomena limited to the Obama administration. A general decline in conditions in African American communities has been the national trend at least since 1968. And we have yet to find any administration which has truly done anything effective to reverse those trends for those who are on the bottom of the economic and political rungs of the ladder.
And we have some statistics here to illustrate this downward trend that you speak of. If we can pull it up there. Black Americans during the U.S. recession, wealth plunged by 53%. Home ownership rates lowest in 16 years. Unemployment currently at over 14%. And it's currently at over 14%. That's correct there. So can you just describe, we're seeing the statistics there, but just exactly how the African American community has been impacted during this economic downturn?
Well, I mean, in the first place, in the area of employment, where black people tend to be historically less secure in job positions, in positions in the economy itself. 10 million jobs across the board were eliminated out of the U.S. economy because of the decline and the shutdown of a broad range of businesses as a direct result of the economic crisis. Now, this is on top of a general trend of marginalization of African Americans out of the economy due to factors such as the flight of capital to overseas locations, the relocation of production, and also the general mechanization and cybernation of production itself, which is making human labor less and less necessary in many branches of production. And I have to point out that in this trend, as in most of the other significant trends, these are not simply trends that are limited racially to African Americans. They are trends which are affecting more and more other sectors of the general American economy because they are general trends. However, because of our location in the body politic and in the economy, traditionally and presently, we are more severely impacted than any other group. Likewise, in the area of home ownership, as you mentioned, there's been a huge phenomena of foreclosures on homes. During the first 2 years between 2006 and 2008 of the economic crisis, it was those who had subprime loans, homeowners who had been basically lured into the mortgage market by the banks under the rubric of giving them a chance to own a home, but really giving the banks an opportunity to make a lot of money very quickly on properties which they estimated and guesstimated that they would soon be able to get back into their hands, and at the same time drive up the general rate of mortgages artificially on the market in general. But after 2008, it was those with prime loans, and again, not just African Americans, but millions, up to 12 million and more Americans of all races, creeds, and colors, whose homes have been foreclosed on by the banks, largely illegally, largely due to fraudulent and manipulative practices on the market. And there has been no real intervention on their behalf not only by the Obama administration, but by any other political entities in any real sense that has brought any relief.
Okay, so we are seeing how people have fallen victim to the system. Getting back to the African community, it's thanks to the African community that President Obama was elected, because this community came out in droves to support him. And now we're seeing a lot of people disillusioned by this promise of hope and change. Where then are African American voters going to go? How will they vote this coming election?
Well, I mean, I think that what we're actually witnessing is the bankruptcy of elite politics in regard to the politics of the African American community. On the one hand, yes, it is true that African Americans turned out in massive numbers to back President Obama in the last national elections. But it is also true that large numbers, huge numbers, of Americans who were not black people also backed him, because they wanted to see some change in the policies and politics coming out of Washington, D.C. And they felt that his candidacy embodied that. And so perhaps the most profound aspect of that election was that so many white Americans decided to look past the issue of race in terms of their candidate and decided to vote on the basis of what they felt were the merits that he was putting forth in terms of what his objectives were in pursuing national policy. I think that the general disenchantment with what has actually occurred over the past 4 months is not just restricted to the African American community, although it's a much more intense issue in our communities because of the question of representation, because of the many barriers that have historically and continue to be put to political expression of our community in the body politic. And so, yes, there is a very special level of concern and disenchantment in the fact that we have not really found adequate advocacy to address the severity of the crisis that is hitting our communities. But a lot of this is also the fact that in the political structure, we are not exerting adequate pressure on the body politic, no matter who is sitting in office, to ensure that our interests are being protected.
Okay,
and I think that one of the
sorry, don't mean to cut you off there. We are out of time, but really appreciate you coming on the show. That was Occupy LA activist Kwasi Nkrumah.